Imagine standing on a main street in America where nobody has lived for 60 years. The buildings are still there. A hardware store with the sign still hanging, the letters faded but readable. A hotel with curtains visible through second-floor windows left behind by whoever walked out last and never came back. A saloon with its bar still intact, bottles gone, mirror cracked, the long counter collecting dust in a room that once held the loudest nights in a 100-mile radius. The street itself is dirt again. The pavement cracked through and reclaimed so slowly that the process is almost invisible until you look closely and see the edges of the old road still holding their shape under the weeds. Nobody is coming, nobody is leaving. The town is simply here, the way it has been for decades, waiting for whatever comes next. Before we go deeper, we welcome you to Truly American, a home for patriotic screen junkies, established right here in God's green internet. Hit subscribe if you love America. These are the mining towns of America, and the story of how they rose, filled with people, and then emptied out again is one of the most dramatic cycles in the history of this country. To understand them, you have to start with what brought them into existence in the first place. American mining towns did not grow slowly, they appeared. A strike, silver in Nevada, gold in California, copper in Arizona, coal in Pennsylvania and West Virginia. And within months, a patch of empty land became a settlement. Within a year, it had a name, a post office, a newspaper, and a population that had arrived from every direction simultaneously, drawn by the same information, moving through the same networks of rumor and telegram. The people who came were not settlers in the traditional sense. They were not farming the land or building permanent roots. They were there to extract something specific from the ground, and they understood, on some level, that the day the extraction stopped was the day the reason for being there ended. The towns they built reflected that understanding in ways that are still visible in the ruins. Construction was fast and often temporary. Wood-frame buildings thrown up quickly, designed to function rather than to last. But alongside those rough structures, something else appeared consistently: investment. Opera houses in towns that had existed for 18 months, banks with marble counters, churches built from cut stone, schools that would not have embarrassed any city. The people who built these things were not naive about the nature of what they were doing. They knew the boom could end. They built the opera house anyway, because while the boom lasted, they intended to live in a real town, not a camp. That tension between the permanence people wanted and the impermanence the economics guaranteed defines everything about what these places became. The booms ended for different reasons in different places. A vein played out after years of production, and there was nothing left to pull from the ground. The price of the ore collapsed on markets the miners had no control over. A competing deposit opened somewhere else and drew the labor away within a single season. Sometimes the ending was so fast that people left mid-sentence. Dishes still on tables, tools still in sheds, merchandise still arranged on store shelves as if a customer might walk in. Other times it was a slow bleed over years, each family departing quietly until the ones remaining were too few to sustain the businesses that made staying worthwhile. And then they left too. What remained became something nobody had planned for, and nobody quite knew what to call. Preserved by the dry air of the West in many cases, left standing simply because nobody had a reason or the resources to demolish them, the abandons began attracting a different kind of visitor entirely. People who wanted to stand inside what remained and understand what the original inhabitants had understood. That this place had been completely alive, not a relic, not a monument. A working town full of people who had opinions and ambitions and arguments and meals and ordinary days. and then did not. The guides who now lead tours through these places carry a specific responsibility. They are not just pointing at old buildings. They are reconstructing the texture of lives that the historical record often reduces to production figures and population counts. The best of them have spent years in local archives, in land records, and newspaper personal letters, donated by descendants, building an understanding of what a specific street looked and sounded like at a specific moment. When they speak about a particular building, they can often tell you who owned it, what the owner argued with his neighbor about, how the business ended. The building becomes a door rather than a wall. Nobody knows exactly how many American mining towns exist in various states of abandonment across the western states alone. The estimates run into the thousands. Most of them have no guide, no tour, no marker. Somewhere out there, on a road that does not appear on most maps, there is a town that has been waiting quietly for someone to notice it. It still has the sign up, still waiting to be found.